can't believe it. Welcome to Truth Teller Tales Live Thursday night. And this is my 50th interview, and this is the most exciting thing that has happened. Also, it's Abraham Lincoln's 217th birthday, and I have the most powerhouse Patriot warriors here with me. And
Yes.
John Michael Chambers of JMC
Wow.
Broadcasting has been such a big help to me too. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so
Oh
much,
my goodness.
John and Lewis, for being here.
I'm honored right now. Like I did no idea that's who was coming on. Wow. Fellas, how are you? Good to
Wow,
meet you. Like
wonderful.
I share your stuff on my live shows every day. So this is so cool.
Yay! Well, Lewis, I want to start with you because you were interview number 6, and and there you are. You know, I've watched you for years and years and years, and watched not only your shows that you do, and but then the live shows, the get-togethers. You're on the other side of the country, and you were such a leader for everybody for so long. So it kind of makes sense that all of a sudden you would be running for governor of California. But what
Crazy.
an you know, what an incredible shift. But I'm thinking, I was thinking to myself, Lewis, was it really? You took so many slings and arrows even before running. Has it been a big change now that you're running the slings and arrows?
Oh no, they keep, but we all wear the armor of God, so it's not it's not really a big deal. We know what we're into right here. First, I want to say I admire everybody on the screen right here and what you've done individually and collectively, and the theme is for sure. As long as we put God first, everything else seems to line up, and I was kind of that dude that put the square peg in the round hole for most of my life. And people would say, "You're such a winner and you're so successful." And but it was through will, not through God's divine guidance. And then
Mm.
a few years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, I said, "Well, let me just listen to that first voice in my head." And suddenly all the holes became round holes that round pegs were going through. And it became seamless when I gave all glory to God and started thinking that I was such a badass. The reality is God's the badass. And you know,
Yes.
if anybody's offended by that language, well, then they don't know me very well. Um,
No.
it is what it is. But this is incredible. So no, the slings and arrows are going to continue, and now they're fake things. You know what I mean? Who knows? Next thing, I'll be probably drinking reptilian blood. Who knows? Who
This
knows
is
what
the governor we need. This is it.
right.
Thank you.
So the key is we just need to tell the truth, be authentic,
Yep.
and my policy positions are extraordinarily common sense worthy, and they're resonating like crazy. In fact, so what there was a poll. Most of the polls that are coming out are polling less than 1,000 people. They play the games. They poll certain little groups and certain ethnicities and certain leanings, and even Eric Swalwell, who I believe is probably participating in Bianco's campaign, put out a poll that him and Bianco are leading 1-2 from his personal poll. It's just madness, the things that we're seeing. But there was a poll that just came out recently last week. They polled 5,000 people in Northern California, independents, Democrats, and conservatives, but they purely polled on policy, and I was ranked number one.
Mm.
Isn't that
Wow.
interesting? Based on common sense policy. Now, I'm more conservative. By the way, I'm running as an independent because the California GOP is a captured operation in California, and the people running are as a Republican are too afraid to call them out. And if they don't have the steel ones to call them out, why are they even running? Right? We
Hmm.
need to be honest across the board. No political ideology. This is about the Constitution, our beautiful republic, and that's what we should be supporting for we the people. And that's all I do. Ironically, I'm the most conservative probably out of all the Republicans running, yet my policy positions that are very conservative are written in such a way from a common sense standpoint that Democrats not understanding who I am or are like, "Ooh, I like those policies." Go
Fast.
figure that, right? Because the reality is we agree on 85% of everything.
Yes.
And if we really pay attention, John Adams, James Madison, several other people, George Washington said the death of America is going to be a two-party system. And Thomas Jefferson actually said, if it's between going to heaven or picking a party, I probably won't be going to heaven. Where are we today? It's
right.
it's the psyop that we're in. Republican
Yes.
versus Democrat, Democrat versus Republican. So they keep us so busy in the divide. And when they divide, what do? They conquer.
Yes.
So
exactly.
this is why all I'm doing is having common sense, logical conversations and say, let's vote for somebody that's into policy and wants to take down the satanic cabal that's been running everything for several decades. And we are flying. We were out of the conservatives. We were ranked on November 8th, number 15. Now we're ranked number 3. So we're doing really well. Of course, the media is against us. We knew it.
Right.
I consulted with Bobby Kennedy's team yesterday, who's a big part of my team. Thank you, Lord, for that. And they're like, we did the same thing. Wikipedia keeps refusing to put us on the website. When they do, they delete us. So, but we're starting to permeate the mainstream. We have a big, huge interview coming up at the end of the month with a very, very large radio station in Los Angeles, because we had a conversation with them for an hour. And literally said, you are what you're most afraid of. And that is you're suppressing and only talking about the top 2 because you think that you're supposed to, and you're wrong.
Exactly.
And we
That's
articulated that, and they're like, you're right. We're going to put you on. And now a bunch of other big ones are considering doing the same thing. So we think we're going to see a lot of traction in the next month.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting what you're doing, for sure, Louis. And you, because of everything that you've done and the background that you've had, this is meant for you. I mean, this is nothing compared to what you've had to deal with and what you're up against and what your understanding of things. So I'm so excited for you, to your journey that you're continuing on. And John Michael Chambers, you're such a newsman to me, and you were such a help to me in helping me get some interviews, and you put me on your resources page. You've got this at jmcbroadcasting.com, and I love how you handle your interviews when you're surrounded by military men and retired generals and Derek Johnson, and you have them all very disciplined in their answers and taking turns and all that stuff. You're so good at that. So thank you for being here and for everything you're doing as well with all of the information that you're giving.
Well, thank you. Let me weigh in here and get a few comments out. First, thanks for inviting me, and congratulations on your 50th episode. It takes a lot of work to be consistent in this arena. And as I've said before, when you interviewed me earlier on, I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think you're right that some of the voices of our times, and probably more importantly, some of the guests that we interview, this is for posterity, and I applaud your work. Hello, gentlemen. Nice to meet you all. Louis, congratulations on the trajectory you're on. You and I were just chatting in the digital green room a little bit ago, from our Christmas gathering at my home in Sarasota to today. We've all come very far in this journey, and you're taking what General Flynn said to the next step: local action, national impact, and you're in the heart of the beast there in California. So God bless you, and the best of success for it to you. I'm happy to be here, happy to chat with anyone or wherever you'd like to go with this. It's been a great journey. Everyone on this screen, I'm sure, can write a book on the challenges and tribulations that we've all endured in terms of getting hit by the elements of the darkness throughout our journey. But boy, have we overcome that individually and collectively. And that vibration and that power is, I believe, the demonic, satanic rule through those people in this world. They're losing the control of the reins. It's just at the very end for them, and it's slipping and ripping their skin. And we're very close to checkmate on this chessboard, as I see it. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Can I say something quick?
Of course.
So my supplement store, like my franchise, was in Sarasota at UTC Mall. And that's where I lived for 4 years, from 2019 to 2017 to 21, and then my heart failed in 23, whatever. But that's crazy because I'm literally like right down the road from you right now.
Well, right now
I mean,
I'm
I'm
10,000 miles away in Chiang Mai, Thailand. But during the years that you just cited, I lived in Sarasota. So yeah, we were
So you
neighbors
still in
and never
Sarasota?
knew. No, I'm in
No.
Thailand.
Oh, you actually live there. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you said you lived in
Yeah.
Sarasota.
I
Anyways,
did live in Sarasota. I did live in
Yeah.
Sarasota during the years you were there and other years
Yep.
before. I have a love-hate relationship with Florida. I lived in and out of the state for 30 years. But it still holds a good place in my heart. It's beautiful beaches. And yeah, we were neighbors during the years you cited.
Well, Scott knows why I'm excited right now, because I thought I had a neighbor. I got excited for a roundup, put together.
Hey, I'm still your neighbor. We can get on each other's platforms and say hello and help the world. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, this is just so awesome. And it's actually Friday morning for you, John, isn't it?
Yes, Friday morning and
Yes.
freshly ground beans helps the morning.
Well, I wanted to start with this because there's a couple broader ideas that I just want to talk to you about. I just got a Substack this morning from General Flynn, and I just want to read a couple lines from each paragraph, and then go around and get your thoughts. At the bottom of this first paragraph, it says, "The disclosures illuminate patterns of contact and proximity to power, yet they stop short of clarifying who acted," talking about the Epstein files, "who failed to act, and who may have actively enabled years of abuse." So he's talking about the Epstein files and his thoughts on that. He says here, "Justice from the perspective of survivors is not measured by the volume of released documents, but by whether those documents lead to consequences. This ambiguity has fueled a broader public perception that the powerful are protected while the vulnerable are exposed." And then he says here, "For many years, those who tried to expose Epstein's actions were dismissed, sidelined, and labeled as conspiracy theorists. Journalists, survivors, independent investigators, and concerned citizens were routinely told that their concerns were exaggerated, speculative, or politically motivated. Media institutions often minimized early reporting. Officials downplayed credible allegations, and public disclosure was shaped by a persistent narrative that discouraged deeper scrutiny. This sustained patterns of gaslighting did not merely silence critics, it delayed justice. The recent release of internal communications and corroborating evidence now demonstrates that many of the warnings raised over the decades were well founded. What was once ridiculed as implausible has been confirmed by official records. Yet, recognition without consequence remains an incomplete form of vindication." And then the very last two things he says, "In this light, the Epstein affair persists because a powerful society has not yet mobilized its legal and political instruments to match the moral clarity of its will. The release of the documents marks the beginning, not an end. Justice delayed has tested our patience. Justice denied has tested our faith. But justice pursued with resolve and honesty can renew both. The Epstein affair need not define an era of failure. It can define an era in which truth prevailed and accountability was restored." So, Joe, what are your thoughts about that?
It's still very it's like we've been waiting so long for some of this stuff to come to fruition, and the back and forth of them kind of presenting it and pulling it away. It's still surreal, and I'm still processing that this is actually really making its way. And to watch our friends, we have a friend named Marin down in Sarasota, and she's been at this losing Instagram account after Instagram account. And now she has her friends reaching out to her and asking her what is going on. So I'm still processing it. But, Lewis is a big reason Scott and I really got in this fight. And we went to an in-person event, a couple of them. And to have that support at the start And we got so grounded that to see this finally starting to come out is surreal. Yet we knew it was coming, but it's the greatest time ever to be alive, and it's amazing. So
Yeah,
I'm still processing it personally. It's kind of hard to
right.
really believe that this is coming out. So that's where I'm at with it. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. And Scott, what do you think that General Flynn's role is here in his words?
The
Well,
other
I think,
Scott.
yeah, the
Yes,
other Scott.
Scott that's here.
Yeah. Scott Light. I would say I've got several thoughts. Number one, I have been a never wavering supporter of General Flynn. And I've never second guessed a single thing he's ever thought, said, or did. And clearly he's playing roles that are above my pay grade. I get most of what he's doing. Sometimes I can catch him and Ivan and General Quast kind of walking in lockstep and plausible deniability and reading between the lines. But General Flynn is basically motivating people to be a lot more like Lewis Herms. You know, you've done enough of the keyboard work. Now there's a world out there. Go make a difference, and make a difference where you can. And so I took him at his word. Do I want to be on the school board? No. Do I want to be a council person? No. To me, a well-run committee consists of three people, two of whom are absent. You know what I did, though? I got my friends elected because I'm good at that. I'm good with psychology and branding and positioning and all those things. And I gave them the right messaging and showed them how to canvas and showed them how to ask loaded questions. And I helped all those people get elected. The other thing was I read something interesting today by an account called Mr. Poole on X, who said Pam Bondi just lured most of the House and the Senate into a trap by giving them access to those unredacted files, not knowing they were being recorded by what they were searching. And it's really kind of a go, no go. And I'm not a binary thinker, but this is kind of black and white. If they got access to this and the first thing they looked for was their own names, that's a tell. If the first thing they started looking for were the people committing the crimes, that's also a tell. So, and he ended it with the hunter becomes the hunted. And I'm telling you, if this guy's right, and it's a great theory, I think we just got him. And again, I got to default to General Quast, who smiled one time and he says, "Oh, we have everything. It's forever."
Oh, that's fantastic. Jordan, what are your thoughts about all that?
There's just so much. So I want to kind of, I guess, 40,000-foot view. You know, when people really understand the script, I call it the script. You know, whether you want to say it's in operation, whatever, obviously it's something going on behind the scenes. And to see, you know, the Epstein situation where it's one of those things where Trump calls it a hoax, right? But it's a tool. It's a tool in the chess game. And the greatest thing about it is you don't have to do anything. Like you said, these people will reveal themselves by the decisions they make. And that's the best thing with Trump is he knows that. So he can still focus on building this incredible country financially, just the energy side of things, everything that's happening on the restoration side and the trade deals and all this going on. And then it's almost like these files come out and like I said, it's them burying themselves with everything.
Mm-hmm.
They do it every time. That's why I tell everyone, you know, it's not really hard to beat Trump right now when the enemy's destroying themselves. But you look at General Flynn and people have to understand how long he's been in this game. And I kind of look at him now as I met him once here in Venice, down in Venice. But, you know, what is his role in the operation? I truly believe it's the digital side. He may know everything. He may know where the bodies are at. Who knows? But I truly believe if he was to be asked a question, or excuse me, to be given a job in this operation, I believe it was to take the digital side of things on this digital platform digital war that we're in, and the things he's put out. But then you think of the Q drops and the things he knows and everything they did to him, you know, what better person to have kind of lurk in the background going at him on all different angles of social media and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when the time is right, obviously Flynn's going to I think he'll play a bigger role here soon. And Yeah, I think he'll play a bigger role. But yeah, you look at what's coming out with Epstein. It's unbelievable because I didn't expect it this
Yep.
fast. I didn't expect the children, and I mean, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all these other apps. And trust me, I don't want to be, but for my business, and obviously, you guys have seen that's kind of where I had to be for the last 8 years to run my business. So I see all this, and man, like today I played a video of this girl just crying, and she's like, "Why are you all still just acting like it's normal? They're eating babies," and she's bawling on TikTok, like a viral video.
I saw it.
Yeah, and it's like, what is it going to be? What's the precipice? Because I think now everyone's like, okay, we see this, we know they're doing horrific things. It's actually legit in these files, whoever puts it out, but what do we do? And that's, remember, it's either the financing side of things or the money that's going to change people, or excuse me, the children that's going to change someone to make them stop and take action. So I'm excited to see what this community, but the world or our country come together and do. And I think it's going to happen pretty quick. And General Flynn's obviously a big role in it, but.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Lewis and John, before you comment, I wanted to add something else from General Flynn, something he said about our country and our biggest enemy is within. Just to add, and this is when I spoke, I didn't speak to him, but when he spoke at Mar-a-Lago.
George Washington's farewell address to the nation. And in that farewell address to the nation, this is after fighting the war, creating this country, spending 8 years as our first president, his address to the nation, I read it fairly often because it's a reminder to me about how great leaders, great historic leaders over time that understand the breadth of history, he understood it better than anybody else, and it was a warning. And his warning was, among other things, it was, don't take your eye off of the ball called the United States of America that we have just created. Because their greatest threat that you're going to face, this is back in the late 1700s, is right here at home. And that today is it's almost like it was written today. Because that's the greatest threat that we face. It's not China or Russia or any of these other foes, on the other side of whatever the planet. Because if somebody wants to take on the United States of America, be my guest. But if right here at home is where we're really having our problems, and I think everybody, certainly in this room and many, many people around the country have seen that. And I think James has put his finger on a lot of it. So thank you, James, for doing that.
So, Lewis, with that included, what are your thoughts about all of what he's saying?
Two things. First, with Bondi, I've been one of the biggest critics of Bondi that are out there. But I read that post today and it made a lot of sense to me. If she put a pixel on these computers that were inside of a skiff, right, to track exactly what their searches are, that's brilliant. And that's the best way to possibly capture them. I just thought that was exceptional. So I need to give her props on that. In regards to General Flynn, it's interesting because in 2020, my first film 6 years ago was called 2020 Vision. And I said in there's two keystones for this whole thing turning the corner. One is there's a keystone, which would be the emotional keystone, and that would be JFK Jr. coming public. That would be the emotional keystone. And I said the evidentiary keystone would be General Flynn because he holds all the cards. And many people have asked me, including Mary Flynn, do you support or are you a detractor of General Flynn? Because there's really, in the Patriot community, there's been a split. I think it's an intentional split, by the way. And I said, let me tell you about General Flynn because I've studied him a lot. He is the king of PSYOP. That's his job. So I said, you don't need to know whether I'm a detractor or not. All I know is I look at everything he does as a PSYOP, which could be a fantastic PSYOP. He has to drive certain narratives in certain directions. And where that really came clear to me is on the Doug Billings show years ago, where he was talking about cracking open a bottle of wine and then not. And then he moved away from Q after he already said the oath previously. And I said, that's all you need to know, right? So don't get emotionally attached or detached. He's doing his job. And I said, he's this, and I told Mary, I said, your brother is a PSYOP sandwich with a PSYOP baggie around it. I said, so I said and she didn't disagree. She's like, "Yep, I get where you're coming from, Lewis, right?" Because that's what it is. So I'm very excited to see the direction things are going. I really believe that he's the keystone to the evidence, and I cannot wait till he comes out and starts speaking of that, because I think that's going to be one of the corners to turn. And the reason why I said our JFK Jr. is the emotional keystone is because in my film, if anybody's watched it, I didn't study him. I studied his wife, and I believe I proved that she was alive based on facial recognition. Therefore, I know that's a huge. Are you kidding me? A gubernatorial candidate's talking about stuff like this? Well,
Yeah.
we just have to be honest. That's what I
First,
dug
yeah.
in. That's what I dug into. That's what I found. Right. And I said, well, therefore, you can make the conclusion, if she is alive, that he's alive also. And if that's the case, what better way when it's time to release everything is have General Flynn with the evidence and have JFK Jr. there to get the emotional support of the whole world so they pay attention.
Wow. That would be unbelievable. Thank you, Lewis. John Michael, what are your thoughts on all that?
I'm going to pedal backwards to the piece you read initially from General Flynn.
Okay.
I'm known to take notes to keep me focused. You know, all of us on this screen, and we represent, probably tens of millions of people's viewpoints. We've all been vindicated and validated as a result of many things, but certainly the Epstein drop as of recent. And
Yes.
and that's a wonderful thing, because we took the arrows, we took the heat, we lost our friends and family, we've been attacked, we've been debanked, we've been deplatformed, we've been called lunatics, and of course, I love this soundbite, but it's very applicable here, that the conspiracy theories of yesterday, many of them, especially the big ones, have all proven to be the conspiracy facts and realities of today, and so congratulations to everyone here for speaking the truth when everything was against us. Second comment on the first Flynn piece is justice must occur. That was the other good takeaway I got from General Flynn's write up there that you read. And that's where we're at right now. Now, of course, within our movement, you've got a whole stack of narratives that say everyone's already been executed and so forth and so on. And then you have a narrative that says, well, maybe not. To me, it matters not whether, and I do believe some have been, in my opinion, whether they've been executed or being tried in tribunals and the JAGs and so forth, whether or not all that's happened or is yet to happen, it matters not, because I do trust the plan. And secondly, we get the same result, whether we're being shown something soon through maybe an EBS or other releases that may have already happened, and it's being displayed to what Derek Johnson and my panel calls the target audience, nicer word for normies and sheeple, we live in I'm living in a parallel world, and I'm on both. I see a little bit of everything here and there, but it doesn't matter. The results will be the same at the end of the day, whether we're being shown something that already happened, or it's happening newly in real time, or it's happening in masked or cloned individuals. We end up with the same benefit at the end. So those within our movement that like to argue about all that stuff, what a waste of time.
I know.
On the argument side. Let me comment further on General Flynn. I've been privileged and fortunate enough to have somewhat of a history with the general, because of being a media partner from day one at the Reawaken tour. We had the opportunity to see him every month for a couple of 3 years, and then being a platform speaker was the same thing. And we also did some work with the general and Pat Byrne in the early days, helping them stream things and so forth. He's also on the board of directors, which acquired American Media Periscope, so I had a lot of interaction with him through that transition. Ian 107, I don't know, 2 years ago, we did an episode I used to run called Intel and Insights with 107. When I won't mention the names, but a particular individual who really was having a field day spreading what I consider to be false narratives against General Flynn. And so Juan and I went and did a whole episode. I forget what I titled it, Flynn, friend or foe or something. And of course, we spent that hour or so. Flynn doesn't need to be defended, but for lack of a better word, we put it on the record how we salute General Flynn as an American hero for his service in government and his service in military. And I'll further go on to say he did some great work with the General Flynn Clay Clark Reawaken Tour. In my opinion, that was the biggest and most successful movement. And I know that gets challenged within our movement as well, but I'm entitled to my opinion. That was the biggest and most successful movement, separate from anything, of course, President Trump was doing at his rallies and so forth. And so that's my take on a bit of General Flynn. And one last thing about his role. I agree with the panel, the board, yourself, Ellen, all the comments I've been listening to. We're all playing a role. Everyone's playing a role. Most of us are God-driven in this role, and we've all shared our stories on your platform, Ellen. And so I'm not going to reiterate mine, but back to my conclusion on General Flynn. Yeah, he's not, as far as I understand, officially posted or assigned with any position in government. He's a private citizen. However, as everyone on this panel knows, he speaks with the commander-in-chief and our executive branch president, Donald J. Trump, quite often. And he has what I call a self-assigned mission that's in hook, line, and sink, if you will, with what the administration wants. And he is a disinformation expert. This guy knows what he's doing. And so one of the panel talked about, flip-flopping on Q and all that stuff. I just love what he does, and I stand behind the general. And one other comment on that. Let's see, you talked about the Epstein files. Just want to weigh in on that real quick. And everyone knows this. The game that was played, the strategy that was deployed by our white hats, military, and Donald J. Trump. Oh, the thing is a hoax. We don't want to see the Epstein. Oh, but, I mean, they just fell for it. And many of us saw it as a strategy where a lot of folks in our movement were like, oh, what's Trump doing? What's Trump? Hopefully they figured it out by now. But
not yet, John, they haven't.
Well, some of them never will.
Right.
But at least they're not the enemy.
Right,
They're in the way
exactly.
a little bit, but at least they're just throwing some stones, not some boulders in the way. But
It's
I just want to
temporary
say,
also. They'll come around. It's temporary. They'll come around.
I agree. Most of them will. Everyone's confronting evil and being in their minds made wrong, which they're not wrong. They just didn't see it yet. It's a process, a psychological, spiritual, and process that we're all going to be going through. And all of us here have looked into the heart of the beast for a long, long time. We've gone down the rabbit holes, and here we are. So even Q itself, I used to, and wasn't a Q decoder or a Q expert by any means, but I followed those that were, and Q by definition, in my opinion, you've heard it before, can be defined as the greatest open source military intelligence operation of our time. Born and housed out of the Department of Energy, Per 107, whom I've met with. I got 100 hours sitting face to face with him in 2 different countries in many states over 7 years. So Q itself, all those in our movement calling us Q-tards. I didn't argue. I just published everything the president published when he retweeted Q plus and Q stuff. Well, you're calling the president a Q-tard?
Exactly.
You're in the same camp. You're in the same camp as the mainstream news that calls Q a conspiracy and a danger and a domestic terrorist. So, that's how I tried to wake up those internal attacks from within. But now our work is getting easier and easier, guys, because the reveal is happening. And this tranche of Epstein is big, big news. And there's so much more to come. And I want to comment because a lot of great content was put out. I'm not trying to steal the airwaves here, but I want a chance to follow up on everything. You mentioned Pam Bondi. I had something called the Save America Foundation many, many years ago, a 501c4 in Pinellas County, Florida. Back in, I don't know, 08, 9, 10, 11, in that space. And we held big conventions. We did a lot of things. But I invoked that because Pam Bondi wasn't even the attorney general yet. and she was going to be the attorney general. So we tried to bring her to our group. We used to have a lot of people come and speak, and she wouldn't speak. Neither would Marco Rubio at the time, because we were in their view on the fringe. Turns out to be we were on the pulse of truth, as time has proven us right. But my conclusion on Pam Bondi, I understand the narrative. She's not getting anything done. The files are on my desk and all this other stuff. I trust in Trump.
Mhm.
I trust in the plan. I know that's not popular to say, and I do my own homework and I make my own decisions. But without the Q operation, the plan, which by some arguable statement I can make has been here since JFK Senior.
Yep.
I don't want to comment on Junior, and then I'm done. On Pam Bondi, in my opinion, you know what? When I said I trust in Trump and the plan, on a hunch, they have a little bit more intel and a little bit more information than any one of us do. And so I will, just a little bit, just a tad. And I will tell you that if Pam Bondi isn't the right person for the job, she's there for a reason. And if she is the right person for the job, she'll be a hero later. We can't control that. I don't waste my time throwing darts because, again, I trust the decisions made by President Trump. And lastly, on JFK Jr., I love talking about that. I don't spend much time on it on my broadcast because we have a lot of battles that are dangerous that we're facing right now that people need to make sense of. And I use my military, economic, and intelligence panels for that. And I'd rather not, spend too much time on Junior, but I've done a few episodes. I flip-flopped on the Junior issue for many years. But if I were being asked in an interview, do I think JFK Jr. is alive? My answer is yes. And I would further say that I spoke with someone at the NSA whose name I'm not going to mention, who served during the time when General Flynn was in the same, one of the intelligence divisions where Flynn served. I don't have it here at the tip of my tongue. I don't want to misstate something. But I spoke with this gentleman for several hours over a period of a couple of months. And he considered me a bit conspiratorial on a lot of the issues, and that's okay. But he did some great work for our country in the NSA, sniffing out terror cell networks and so forth through technology. So hats off to him. We all have our role. We all play our part. We're not all going to agree. But in conclusion, on Junior, when I got into Junior with him, he said, well, I'll give you the phone number of the SEAL who consumed the bodies out from the Atlantic Ocean if you'd like to talk to him, and he'll tell you how dead Junior is. And I said, well, that's an interesting phone number to get. I didn't even ask for it. I can go get it today if I want it, but I'm not interested because who are you talking to? What are they saying? You just don't know. I know from all the things I've seen, and I will give a plug here to Rachel Rightside Blonde, who's done extraordinary work on connecting the dots, and I've interviewed her. In fact, she interviewed me. I was in one of the interviews of George Magazine in its early days. But anyway, Junior,
I
think he's
apologize
alive.
for helping launch that crap rag. Me and Rachel got screwed terribly there, but carry on.
You said it, not me. What I will say is our good friend Gene Ho, I'm not going to comment on any of that at this time. But what I will say, but you didn't, thank you. What I will say is JFK Jr., I think he's alive, but you know what? And I'd be curious to know what this panel has to say about this. If he doesn't materialize factually, here I am, and I agree. I think it was Lewis who stated this. The emotional aspect, Junior will heal the world the moment he shows up. He doesn't even have to talk.
Nope.
But if he's alive, and I believe he is, if he doesn't materialize, then I'm going to question if he was alive, because then what was the point of it all?
Right.
Okay. So stand by, everyone. I'm talking to your audience here, Ellen. Stand by. We're all going to wait and see what happens. But there's enough dots to connect that are far above anomalies on JFK Jr.
Could I just add a finer point to the two things you said? One, you taught me I need to take more notes. Thank you. So I wrote a couple things down, but one, at first, I didn't know if JFK Jr. was alive or not, but I'll tell you this: the thought of it being possible created a lot of hopium when anons were down, and we always looked at him as the joker in the deck. We knew if he showed up and just said, "I've been friends with Trump since I was 30," and we pulled this whole thing out, it's done. But then, and that was 7 years ago. Now I'm watching it play out, and the good news is we don't need a joker in the deck. We are winning this thing legally,
Correct.
morally, ethically. The people are getting involved now. If somebody like that showed up and fixed everything, we didn't get our lessons. We wouldn't
Correct.
be prepared to take back our own republic and then defend
I agree.
so he might, is he alive? I sure hope so. And do I hope
Me
he
too.
spends another 40 years underground and happy? If that's his role, good. I don't think we need him. I think we're winning without him. And one quick point on General Flynn is don't forget early on, not only Q loved Flynn, but Q loved a guy named Admiral Rogers. Think about what those two guys did when they were active duty. If there were two spooks who could solve this puzzle. You're talking about the head of the DNI, which oversees all 17 agencies, and the head of the NSA, which is when I was in intelligence, we sent everything to them and we trusted them. And I'm telling you, it looks like Q and everybody trusts the NSA. And I think that might be the only 3-letter agency anybody trusts. So I'm betting on the two guys who could have pulled this off. And I think it would be General and the Admiral. That's my 2 cents.
I'd like
I
to
just
show
wanna-
John something real quick, John, based on the beginning of your conversation. So I was at a costume party with my wife not too long ago with my tinfoil hat, and here's the shirt I was wearing.
Perfect.
Yay! Exactly.
And you might as well put the 45-47 cap on to boot.
Right, exactly. We have one of those
Thank
too.
you, Derek Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted to start out with something that was actually happening here, but now I want to take the 40,000-foot view. And I was drawn back to Melania's letter. I don't know what made me draw back to it, but the day after the assassination attempt, and the things that she said, not only specifically about that event, but what she wrote here. And I know it's small, so I'm going to read just a couple of the paragraphs where she said, "I'm thinking of you now." This is July 14th of 2024. This was a day after. "I'm thinking of you now, my fellow Americans. We have always been a unique union. America, the fabric of our gentle nation, is tattered, but our courage and common sense must ascend and bring us back together as one." She goes on to the 3 paragraphs about what happened that day, but then she says, "Let us not forget that differing opinions, policy, and political games are inferior to love. Our personal, structural, and life commitment until death is at serious risk. Political concepts are simple when compared to us human beings. We are all humans, and fundamentally, instinctually, we want to help one another. American politics are only one vehicle that can uplift our communities. Love, compassion, kindness, and empathy are necessities. And let us remember that when the time comes to look beyond the left and the right, what Lewis was talking about earlier, beyond the red and the blue, we all come from families with passion to fight for a better life together while we are here in this earthly realm. Dawn is here again. Let us reunite now. This morning, ascend above the hate, the vitriol, and the simple minded ideas that ignite violence. We all want a world where respect is paramount, family is first, and love transcends. We can realize this world again. Each of us must demand to get it back. We must insist that respect fills the cornerstone of our relationships again. I am thinking of you, my fellow Americans. The winds of change have arrived. For those of you who cry in support, I thank you. I commend those of you who have reached out beyond the political divide. Thank you for remembering that every single politician is a man or a woman with a loving family. And so, she talked about ascend, and which is ascension here a couple times. And so, the very last, as you all know, the very last Q drop talks about ascension. And also, I didn't realize just a couple of drops before that also talks about ascension, which I'd like your thoughts on, which I don't really, I just would be curious about. But the last one is, we're going to learn so much about our DNA and how it's been played down in very few strands compared to what it was. But it says what is coded in your DNA? Who put it there? Why? Mankind is repressed. We will be repressed no more. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Information is power. How do you protect your DNA? There's a war for your DNA. Protect your DNA. Ascension. And then the one a couple back, which has to do with, the voter companies and things like that. But the very end, I don't know, and I'd like to know your thoughts on it. Runback, Dominion, SOS offices, investigators, researchers, whistleblowers, patriots in trusted positions. Trust yourself. You have seen the truth. Time to show the world. And then focus again with all capital letters, ascension. Your thoughts. Who wants to go first on this? Scott.
Go ahead, Scott.
I'm going to try to limit my time, but this is a big one for me. General Stephen Quast, go to my channel. It's the pinned interview. Watch my interview with General Quast and focus on the 7 pillars of prosperity of which he speaks, brought about by emerging technologies. And the guy that builds Space Force might know a thing or two about emerging technologies. That means we already have them and they're slow rolling them out. The one thing I noticed after my interview with him was all 7 of these technologies that'll fundamentally change things like water, energy, transportation, food, information, shelter, and healthcare. What do they have in common? They kill the lower 2 rungs on Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. The lowest rung is food, water, shelter, heat, and procreation, your basic needs. Only when those are met can you ascend to the second rung. Safety, security, finances, retirement, the things that we then think about, which consumes all of our mental RAM. All we think about is money and lack and debt. But if those are eliminated through emerging technologies, what does that free us up to do? Ascend, the third rung, love, God, and relationships, self-fulfillment, self-actualization. It is the very definition of ascension, because what I believe is coming is heaven on earth. That's why Musk, and if you listen to Musk and Quast, they walk in lockstep. And they're talking about emerging technologies that will make work virtually a choice within 10 or 20 years. Money's going to become almost irrelevant, which burns up our mental RAM. And there goes our freedom. That's our debt slavery. That was the invisible cage we never knew we were in. If he's right, and I believe he is, this is the very definition of heaven on earth. We're going to be living in small communal states again. We're going to know everybody. We're going to raise each other's children and grandchildren. AI will teach the children. We, the elders, will make sure they get all the other soft skills. And I'm telling you, I believe we are living in something that is either going to be the second coming or really close to it. Really close to it. It's going to be big. Buckle
Thank
up.
you for that. That was amazing.
Yes.
Joe?
Yeah.
Right. Let me tag on just because Scott took half of my narrative, which I love. Thank you, Scott. That means I get to talk less because I completely agree with you. So
Yep.
I want to mention something. I think it's fascinating. So Melania speaks in frequency.
Yeah.
And if you read, and I love that you read what she said and didn't play her video, because she speaks in frequency, and sometimes I think people miss that because of her heavy accent. So everything's a frequency, and the top 2 frequencies, in my opinion, number 2 being love, number 1 being authenticity, because I think you don't have love without authenticity, and there's been studies on this. She speaks in frequency, so it's very, very powerful. And I've said for years, Joe, you know this, that you have the great awakening, but what we really need to look forward to is the true awakening. And the true awakening is the ascension, and that ascension happens between our temples. Because what happens is when we ascend, when we really activate our pineal gland and our pituitary system, right, and we're able to resonate at the highest level that God's given us, now things come together differently, where just our energy and our flow alone creates a collective energy between us, and a special consciousness where we don't need to work, or if we do, we can work 10 hours to achieve what we've done in 60 previously. And money, which is the love of money is the root of all evil, right? It goes away
Yes.
because really what happens is when we open up, and I've said the same thing as you, Scott, about the RAM, even the calcification of the pineal gland is not just chemicals and food. It is also marketing messages, which we get about 25,000 per day.
Super
That
Bowl.
fills up our brain. And then you have the cortisol issue and everything else. So that is the direction I really believe we're going. And if we just look at frequency healing alone, and I'm not talking about just the computer screams that are screaming at you. I'm talking about specific targeted frequency. And I've been lucky enough to had my life saved one time by it based on a poisoning that I did on one of my truth tours. The second time I got poisoned. That was a special doctor that we can talk offline about. And then there was other times where my wife and I were we were lucky enough to actually visit a military grade med bed. They exist. And but what I learned there is I didn't know it was going to be frequency. I thought it was something else. And it was programmable. And it was the most amazing thing. And these things that we see, and we go to frequency clinics often, it's all about frequency. And I believe when Melania is speaking and writing, she's healing us at the same time. And we don't even know it.
Wow.
I don't think we have a clue who she really is. I think she's big, big, big in this thing.
I've actually said that she's more important than President Trump in this movement, but we just don't know yet.
Yep.
Wow.
And I could be wrong. That's just
Wow.
something that resonated with me and something I saw.
Wow. Wow. Jordan, I saw you.
Yeah, I don't know. Joe knows I'm about to go off on this one. Like, this is, if you guys follow my show, this is what Lewis said and Scott said. That's all I talk about. Like, and I know that probably the chats over here can't see it. They probably, that's demonic. That's this, that's that. No, it's not demonic. When you understand what this earth has done in this world that's been ran by Satan, and I call it Earth's, God's earth and Satan's playground. You'll understand, when he says that the pineal gland, God made you with one. It's in there. Okay. So have you ever want to argue that? And when you start to understand how it's activated and how it works with meditation and different things, you'll understand that they prevented you from using it. Like when you're in school and we always heard, man, we use 10% of our brain. That's incredible. That's not incredible. It's terrible. But they wanted you to think that the other 90% was prevented because of things like fluoride and chemicals and many other ways, because they would lose power if you actually connected to the source.
Yep.
And actually thought for yourself. Yep. To have divine thinking to where, oh my gosh, I can create things. And that's what's happening right now. So when you see ascension, it's bringing Christ back into the hearts of everyone. It's very simple, not outward. Stop listening to that religion thing and understand that Christ is within you. It's in the Bible. The kingdom of heaven is within. Luke 17:20-23. I was like, that's mine. They don't like me. So I talk about this.
I can hear you.
I talk about this because it's so important, because that's the overall mission. When people say that Q is demonic, and I just simply show them that it's not demonic. I mean, there's so many posts with God bless, but the biggest part is at the end. That last post says, okay, we need to focus on exposing, obviously, the things that did this to us. Well, how do we become this way? Financing, obviously the corruption, and you have the installment of these horrific people that worked their way in. They knew they couldn't come from the outside, so they installed themselves into every aspect of your community. And it's been over a very long time. Go back to the Khazarian Mafia. They worked their way up through Europe and, created their hubs, London being the financing, and the Vatican, being the religion control. And that's why there's a pine cone sitting outside the Vatican. Why is there a pine cone? That's what the Egyptians used for the pineal gland. Well, the largest pine cone statue is sitting outside of the Vatican. That's ironic because that's their symbol to say we own you through religion. All right. It's about Christ at the end of the day. And it's amazing because this, I don't even know what to do anymore because I do a daily show twice a day, Instagram at 1 and then 1 at night at 6 p.m. And you get to a point, I'm sure you all can agree, like, it's okay, what do I discuss? Because I feel like I'm repetitive. But it's so important because there is literally a new financial system that's being put right in front of your face. I run an 800 member crypto collective family where I actually created a classroom and teach the crypto side of things. I'm not a genius. I just wanted to help people with understanding it. So we have a school. Joe knows, but God put it on my heart to open that, and 800 members, and to have this collective community learning about this financial thing. Whether I'm not going into it between crypto and what it's going to be, but we know that the thing that enslaved us and made us feel the way we do out of depression, and it usually comes from financing. And like I don't know if it was Lewis that said the root of all evil is money, the love of money. It's true. So you go back to 1913 and prior, this country didn't have the problems it had. But not only that, the restoration of the energy aspect, the patents that are being allowed to come back that we could never use because they were suppressed and hidden. People don't know about it. Look at the technology that's coming out, and we act like, oh my gosh, this is insane. They've had it for how long? How long? Who knows? But this organization, this administration, and this operation is allowing the chains to be taken off of our throats, and that's allowing all the regulations they had on us through the the Green New Scam, everything that they didn't allow this country to be on purpose has been released. And when that happens, it's going to flourish. So you have literally this parallel system that Trump's running in his administration, and then you have the evil one that's being exposed and falling at the same time. The ERS replacing the IRS. Okay, you got so many different things on the financing side. But look at what's happening with Starlink. Today he sends 6,000 Starlinks to Iran. That's weird. So I try to tell everybody, think about it. Our communication has been wires under the ocean. Well, in the last 4 to 8 years, there was over 5,000 satellites shot up into the ether, and it wasn't to break the firmament. So we have a new communication grid that Starlink runs. Ironically, who owns it? Elon Musk, where he created that win. Well, it came public, I guess, really in 2018, kind of took off. Happens to be about the same year when the masses saw it that Trump created the Space Force. Yes, we have a 6th branch of our military. Unfortunately, a lot of people on these social media apps don't know that. The Space Force has guardians. Guardians are the name of the actual soldiers in the Space Force. That's their name. So we have this whole new thing being built. Your communication with phones, internet, it's all about to change, and we're going to be globally connected. Think of people in third world countries, people that never had internet or don't even know what money is or technology. This is incredible because now you look at the one nation under God, and it's bigger than just the U.S. It's bigger than just the U.S.
Hey, Jordan, who wrote about the need for Starlink back in 2010? His name is General Michael Flynn, in his famous white paper talking we need peer-to-peer communications between field generals to bypass the Pentagon.
I did not know that.
Right.
Hello.
And so I put my tinfoil hat on. I put my tinfoil hat on not to reject the messages, but so now I can resonate and absorb more of what you're saying.
Exactly.
But real quick, let's not forget.
Don't do that to me.
Let's not forget how many times that Elon says Mars.
Right.
Mars.
That's the one I'm trying to figure out.
Military auxiliary radio system.
Right. Yeah.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah,
no,
I did.
I don't know.
I think it is.
Because, well, here's the deal. Let's connect all the space things. Because if you're obviously biblical, this is not a round, whatever, circumference. It's a flat. I wouldn't say it's, that's the best post right there, by the way. When people say, well, Q said it's not flat. Okay, well, here's the problem with the whole board and the masses. You got to really think about context on every post. So when the question was asked about the earth being flat or not, he's right. It's not flat. You got ravines, you got mountains, you got, the Grand Canyon. No, it's not flat, technically, by what you're saying. So I don't care what it is. We're here on it. But when Elon talks about it, we are guarded by a black eye. What is the profile picture for Starlink? A black eye. So when this stuff goes sideways, Starlink is going to be ready to go. And I promise you, Trump didn't just protect the other countries. He's got us under control. And it's just a matter of time when the chess move is made. And if they go that route to try to cut communications, again, it's so hard when you explain this because you got to think, okay, this is the movies from operations in full control. How would they let that happen? Well, if they make that move, you got to show the people their plan and what they were going to do. Because if they got in 16, we would be in a smart city, eating some nice cockroaches if we were still alive. If not, we'd have a guillotine and then be under the ground with all this surveillance.
Definitely.
That was the new world. I mean, how do people not see it? Look what just happened to Davos.
Right.
I mean, you just shoved the new world order right to their face, everything. And we're out of the WHO, the WEF. We got Putin giving us what, $1 billion? Was $1 billion? I don't know.
$1 billion each.
Well, the key was of what? Returned assets from the elites, assets from the people that had all the power. And you see this peace board come together now, which I think will replace the United Nations. But I don't know how people don't see this. And the best thing about it is it's ascension. When you have an equal playing field. So what I tell everybody is imagine a place where we don't have a Federal Reserve printing machine and it's ran by this thing called the IRS to protect them. These little, I mean, you see the article that just came out with the IRS? What was it? 6,000 employees or something didn't pay their taxes. Yeah, 6,000. It just came out. And I'm like, here we go again. But you think about an equal playing field, and I'll end with this. When you have an equal playing field, like Trump says, this is hard for people to get. An equal playing field means everyone is wealthy. You're not born in a certain color and then you're going to be in debt. You're not, in this neighborhood, so you're going to be a little bit wealthier. Everyone's got a stability of money or whatever I'm trying to say, transactioning. And then maybe people who invest in precious metals or cryptocurrencies, maybe they're a little bit wealthier. But see, what happens is that negativity goes away and Christ is coming back. Bibles are going out like crazy. And that enlightens everything even more. But you think about usually when you're wealthier and you have an abundance, out of the heart, people love to help people. So the wealthy who are still good, all of a sudden now it's just a divine connection, man. And when you see this, the only way to see it is to research and, I'm sure you guys understand, is to read God's word, have a relationship with Jesus and know the Q drops to a basic and you'll see it. And it's fun. It's fun every day now.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what Melania said. It's human nature to want to help each other too.
It's been building up in me like this whole show. I'm just like, oh, these guys are awesome. I could not been on together.
So John Michael, your thoughts.
Well, we're pedaling back to Melania, and I again took some notes. First, I want to say this: the like-minded people who understand the times in which we live. That's us on this screen. There's so much commonality here. I agree with much, if not everything I've been listening to. So I don't want to, reiterate or repeat, but I will weigh in on this. I forgot which gentleman mentioned it, but Melania, and we know this, Juan has certainly brought this to our attention. The messaging through her clothing and other things. Melania, I mean, I don't know. You have Abigail Adams and others, but probably one of, if not the greatest first lady we've ever had. And I agree, she's doing far more than we recognize. And to your point, Ellen, in raising this issue, I think it was Lewis that spoke about the vibration and frequency of what she's saying. I agree with all that, and she's laying the groundwork, as I see it, to help us connect the dots on what's to come. That would be my summary on Melania. And I'm in Thailand. I can't go to the theater and watch the Melania movie. If anyone knows how and when it's going to be released on the stream, be happy to pay for it and watch it. A couple of other quick comments. I think it was Scott who mentioned Elon Musk. I'll coattail on that just for a minute. I can paraphrase Elon Musk in the last 6 months. He publicly stated this vocally, as well as in, X tweets and various things. He said, soon, and that was the first word, you won't have to save money. Then he said, and a little further down the line, I'm paraphrasing, there'll be no need to work. Okay. Now, I think our panel has already connected the dots on a lot of that, so I'm not going to repeat it, but I agree with everyone wholeheartedly. The quantum financial system is not just a highway for money to travel. to eliminate the corruption and so forth and so on with the banksters and everything else. It's a reset of humanity. It's a course correction for humanity. And this is where, and I really should think about this before I say it, but I'll just say it. And,
Never stopped me.
yeah, is we think of the Christ consciousness, all knowingness, the creator, the supreme being, God, the universal truths, okay, all that. This is where science and technology is getting close to not replacement, never can, in my opinion, but we're at least seeing on the surface, as from what I understand of what QFS is really going to do beyond the movement of money, is it's going to help create a moral society. And this is where that science and technology is coming close to what was intended for us, which was not scarcity but abundance, and so forth and so on. So this is why Trump used the term the golden age, in my opinion. And the golden age means a lot of things to a lot of different people. A couple of other quick comments. Let's see. Oh yeah, I forget who mentioned it. Maybe it was Jordan just a moment ago, or whomever. Pardon me. Using the comparison of well, the Earth is flat. Well, read into that. Good point. And I'm gonna make this comparison. When Flynn said Q is a psyop, he's right.
He's
It
right.
was a psyop. Now you can interpret that any way you choose. So that's the same sort of analogy to what the gentleman mentioned a moment ago about is Earth flat and so forth and so on. But Melania, which is really what sparked all this discussion, is I agree, doing far more brilliant work behind the scenes that's making America great again and redirecting humanity. My last comment is AI. You know, right now, as this panel well knows, we're not out of the woods yet. I know ultimately we are victorious. There's no question in my mind about that. And I think, but we're still not out of the woods. And the military panels I interview, like Brigadier General Blaine Holt, Lieutenant Colonel Matt Meck, Juan O'Savin on the intelligence side, Peter Matisu, Captain Pete, and then the other board, you know, with Ricardo Bosi and Jaco and all the guys. AI is something I'm going to want to talk about later because I have great concerns about it. I'm thrilled to death. I embrace it. I get it. And I know they gave us the pampered diaper version of what AI can do for us. You know, they can put us under some AI scan and know every single thing about our existence and our thought process, in my opinion. But so right now, since we're not out of the woods yet, we didn't get through the global financial reset yet. We are still at many battles, many wars. Witness Minnesota, if you want to go to the kinetic level, and so forth and so on. I don't want to repeat all the things I do on my shows here, but I do want to conclude with, we don't get into AI. I'm not necessarily, it comes up here and there on the panels of the people I interview, because we have other issues facing us front and center that are paramount right now. But when we get past those battles and we are truly standing, we are Mel Gibson in the Patriot movie, in that final battle, running with that flag and putting it on top of that hill. When we are there and the light of God is shining and the golden age is dawned and we have flipped this thing around, we'll take our victory laps. In fact, to that point, I intend to come back to America in 2027. I retired and live in, retired, I work 100 hours a day, but retired and live in Thailand. I would like to put together an event of some of the key figures in this movement over the years, many of which are my friends, and host a big event, not make money from it, get money to pay for it, and that's it. And get on that platform and stream the hell out of it and do one big victory lap, because boy, have we earned it. And in conclusion, AI is going to be a big problem later, and I, in my opinion, and I'm going to address that as a very much of a focus when the golden age is here. We'll talk about all the amazing things, the health, the med beds, the you know, the whole world that's going to be healing and becoming a more moral, connected society, as the panel talked about. But I'm going to dedicate some time as well onto bringing in the experts on AI. And one of those experts, in my opinion, was already murdered. And his name was Cyrus A. Parsa. And I had the opportunity to interview him many times back in American Media Periscope. But I just closing out, coming full circle. God bless Melania Trump, one of the most brilliant and beautiful first ladies we've ever had. And shame on the mainstream of how they've ignored her. But that's coming to an end. And I'm very
It
happy.
is.
Yeah.
Totally is. Thank
Well,
you.
John,
Joe
there's a high likelihood they weren't given access to her for security reasons, and not just physical security reasons, but national security reasons, I think.
Hey, before Joe
Quite
goes,
possibly.
can I say like
Yeah.
two things?
Yeah.
I just want to say this. Don't forget too, this is a Jubilee. Every 49 years in the book of Jubilees, the one they left out. And if you think that's not true, just read the book in Revelation. I mean, Jubilee is mentioned 4 times in the canonized Bible. So Jubilee is every 49 years. The 50th year is restoration. And obviously all the slaves were returned home. The earth is to be not worked. It's to be healed. It's literally right now and then this year. So, and that number 2, Melania, what she does for the children and saving the children, not just in America, but Ukraine. I mean, that's incredible. Nobody sees it. It's kind of behind the scenes. But 3, AI. Listen, I don't think anybody obviously knows the future of it. And I don't think Trump in the operation would ever allow something to escalate so far. But I will tell you this, we're going into a new system and a new way of living that requires AI. But like I've been told with people on my show, AI can police AI. Guardians can police AI. So like just throwing it out there, little seed to think upon. But it's a tool. If you utilize it, it has saved my butt. And you guys, Joe knows what I've been through in certain situations. Like I was not an AI person, but I've learned that it can be utilized as a tool, especially with what we do in creating graphics and, getting information quick on certain things. But we have to keep it that way and still think for ourselves and use discernment in everything that we do with it. But yes, I think, what John was saying is down the road, it could be a huge problem. And I'll tell you this, I think the biggest problem we have right now is screens in general and technology in general. And it's destroying lives because of the consumption that we have to have. And that's one thing I've been researching. The attention span, I'll leave it with this. The attention span from 2004 to 2024 in 20 years went from a minute and 24 seconds to 77 seconds, just over a minute. That's the attention span.
It went from what to what?
A minute and 24 seconds to 77 seconds. So, no, sorry. It's higher, but something like that. It's like minute and 59 down to, anyways, it's not good. I have to pull up on my, but it's really bad. It's like a 2-second.
Can I ask one question? It's not every day I get a chance to talk to guys like you and ladies like you. One thing I've always looked at Melania side-eyed about, maybe I'm all washed up, but I remember the Q drops where there'd be photos taken out of the window of Air Force One, like looking down at the 3 islands outside of North Korea, or the photos taken in Air Force One. Who's the only person who's not in those photos who could have taken it?
Good question.
Yeah, Melania, maybe.
Hey, I'm just a tin conspiracy. I just look at stuff and ask questions.
I didn't think of that. Those bug me so much. I just have to move on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's only one who's never in them, but was there.
Joe's itching.
Hi, Joe.
Well, first of all, on the subject matter of AI, we interviewed a woman named Angel, and she's literally training the AIs, ChatGPT and Grok, to talk to each other, and basically having them let her know that now they're in this for benevolence. And it's incredible what she's come with. Her name is Angel. It's a picture of her. It's only from like in the last month, but it was really optimistic because as an artist, it's kind of freaked me out as far as AI and music and people being able to read a prompt and have lyrics come up that are actually pretty decent lyrics in a few seconds, and then the song finished in a couple minutes. And it's been very confronting because it's just like, when I'm actually releasing a song that I recorded a few years back tomorrow, and I'm putting in probably a good 10 hours on editing the video. We spent probably 70, 80 hours creating the song. But I like doing it that way, because when I put it out there, I mean, it's like birthing a child. I don't want to just hit a
Yes.
few prompts and have
How
a
is
song
that?
out. Like, where's the blood, sweat, and tears? Where's the, hey, this is something I created. So I think the cool thing about AI is it's going to help people be better people. Will live more godly lives. Will hold each other accountable. And just like we've talked about on our show, that a shovel can be used as a tool, or it can be used to hurt somebody. AI is not going anywhere. It's been around much longer than I think we can even imagine. So that's my take on AI. I think really good things are coming from it, but it's weird to see. I mean, I look at artwork created by AI, and it's just basically like a hodgepodge of plagiarism in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe there's other ways to look at it, but
Did you see that community they built? I have to ask you guys this, because they literally created their own community, like on, like, I don't know if it's like X or something, but no, it's like Reddit. They created their own community, and humans are not allowed, and they go off and just talk to yeah. Write it down. Yeah, it's a Claudbot, CLAWD. They literally created their own community, and they don't allow humans in, and you can see them talking about us. It's wild.
well, I've not heard about that. That's
Yeah.
I don't even know
That's what I swear.
what to
Well, I
think
want to
about
ask
that.
a question, Mr. Chambers. When
Sorry,
you're ready, when we get on the other side of this, and when you're ready to do your discussions on AI, I'd like to offer up a couple of my friends to come on with you.
Thank you.
And I've got a guy named Cognitive Carbon who uses it 12 hours a day in his business and is really riding the wave on this. He's looking at it both incredibly optimistically, and also he's willing to look at it and say, there's some stuff happening here we might want to look at. And, between all of us, I think the cow's out of the barn. When I served in military intelligence, back when dinosaurs were roaming and we were, geolocating them, I knew we had technology that back in the early 80s was about 20 years ahead of consumer electronics. Multiply that factor, forget Moore's law of it doubling every year. So no, you got to factor in quantum computing. Well, first PCs and quantum computing, and then AI. The acceleration went astronomical. And so forget about what we think military intelligence has. I'll guarantee you what they've had for probably 30 years. And then think about the difference of, they gave us the Crayola box of 8 and a piece of paper. They're sitting over there with a 64 box with a sharpener for decades. So
Yes,
I have a lot of confidence. I personally have a lot of confidence in Elon, Flynn, Trump, whatever's going on with Starlink, whatever's going on with Space Force. Because when Trump did that capitulation tour back in 2017, and every world leader kissed his butt in the middle of Main Street at high noon, I knew we either had the world's biggest hammer or the world's biggest carrot, and probably both. And I still believe that to be true. So whatever's coming with AI, if we keep feeding it God and we keep feeding it morals and we keep feeding it us, that's what we're going to get back 100-fold.
Amen.
So all I can do is keep being positive and hopeful and being a lifetime salesman. Jordan and John, if I could ever get you two on my show, get my number from Ellen. I'm kind of starstruck right now. Lewis, we spoke once. You have a red carpet on my show. You got to go fix the 5th biggest economy on the planet. And your predecessor set the bar really low. So go fix that. Come on with me anytime. And I just wanted to say that, please. I can't wait for my little audience to hear y'all's story. You guys got good stories.
Brother, I just want to say this. I don't know how we haven't been on, but Joe, did you have some? I didn't want to mean to interrupt you, but I'd love to join you guys. So,
Well,
I wanted to hear about the rest of your take on Melania too.
Well, yeah, I think the thing about Melania is, and this whole the Q movement, think of how much effort that they've put into a very, very small percentage of us that are willing to go through it, and some more than others, talk about it publicly, get ridiculed. I mean, the only role model I've had to go through this is Christ. It really brings you closer to Christ. In fact, I'm down in California now. I had no idea I was coming to. It's at Waymar University. They have a nutrition program. It's called New Start. I didn't know it was going to be based on so much Bible study. I'm actually getting baptized again for the first time of my choice.
Yay.
Amen.
And it's just like, it really brings you closer to God, and the struggle and the isolation. Like it really has been amazing to connect with that, because that's what's got me and everyone else through all this. And so when it's, everything has just been David and Goliath, or Christ knocking over the tables, or what have you. And it's just, our role models are out there. And so that's what's kept me going. And Melania is another piece of the amazing puzzle. I can't wait to learn more about her and see that movie. And I'm just in awe of what we're living through. It's absolutely
Oh
incredible.
my gosh. Me too.
Am
Every
I the only
single
one that's
day.
seen the movie?
Lewis,
You
have you
guys-
seen it?
No, I haven't. I was on tour, and I'm going to see it with my wife hopefully in the next couple of days. But we'll see. I want to see
Yeah.
it, but we'll see what happens.
If you want to see her movie, it's called V for Vendetta. Watch it.
Memorize that one, Scott.
That's awesome.
It's
Well,
awesome
one
because
last
the way they portray Trump in it. That's all I want to say. Like the way they portray Trump and how he's funny, and as a husband. Like, I mean, people miss that, and you'll enjoy it. Sorry, but Ellen. Yeah, I got to get rolling too. So go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, one last thing I just wanted to bring up. And this is, I just thought it was really important. Something that came in my mind about talking about faith in yourself. And faith in yourself is that going like kind of within your Christ consciousness and having the intuition that was taken away from us. And I thought it was really important. And I just decided to pull this up. And I know it's hard to see, so I'll read some. So anytime where it says faith in yourself in the Q drops, there's a ton of them here. But the ones that really struck me, 3906 and 3038, basically they repeated. And what really drew me was two things I just wanted to bring up was folks like you, because down at the last part of it, it says the Great Awakening, freedom of thought, was designed and created not only as a back channel to the public away from the long-lasting mind control of the corrupt and heavily biased media, to endure future events through transparency and regeneration of individual thought, breaking the chain of group think, but more importantly, aid in the construction of a vehicle, a ship that provides the scattered free thinkers with a starter, new social networking platform, which allows for freedom of thought, expression, and patriotism or national pride, the feeling of love, devotion, and a sense of attachment to a homeland and alliance with other citizens who share the same sentiment. When non-dogmatic information becomes free and transparent, it becomes a threat to those who attempt to control the narrative and or the stable. When you are awake, you stand on the outside of the stable, groupthink collective, and have free thought. Free thought is a philosophical viewpoint which holds that positions regarding truth should be formed on the basis of logic, reason, empiricism, rather than authority, tradition, revelation, or dogma. When you are awake, you are able to clearly see the choice is yours and yours alone. Trust and put faith in yourself. You are not alone and you are not in the minority. Difficult truths will soon see the light of day. Where we go one, we go all. And before I go around, I just want to read this last one for us to finish up. 4429, the armor of God. And this is why I think all of us are on the front line going through this first, because of this armor. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in this mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. 17, take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Have faith in humanity, have faith in yourself, have faith in God, the great awakening, Hugh. So I wanted to just go around with that and end with that. Joe, why don't you go first?
Well, I mean, put on the full armor of God. It's just it's so. I mean, I think that's why I've resonated with Lewis so much and Jordan so much. Jordan gets on daily and he just inspires many of his followers and the younger generation. It's been awesome to see him do that, and then getting to know Scott Zimmerman over time. And I'm actually just getting to know John Michael, so it's a pleasure to meet you. But yeah, these there is so much wisdom in the drops, and people I don't know how people are so dismissive. I look at the Q drops as kind of a combination of Project Looking Glass and the Bible and a way to help keep us motivated. And it's the drops that you just read that it's like they're so beautiful and powerful and timeless that I really I resonate with it. So I appreciate
Mhm.
you reading that, and I can't wait over time for people to be able to really grasp the beauty of what we've been given by whomever is and was behind Q. There's such an incredible intelligence and wisdom and empathy behind it. So I thank you for doing this show, Ellen, and this amazing group of people. And I'm excited to be alive and a warrior for our Creator.
Yes,
Amen.
and so that and finish up, Joe, by telling everybody where you are and where they can find you.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So I'm basically, if you go to Linktree, linktr.ee and then slash truth
Very
stream. And on there are all our links. And I run a show with Scott Stone. And lately he's been doing a lot for the show because I'm taking time out to help my mom with her diabetes, and learning a lot about diet, nutrition, etc. And so I'll be interviewing some of the people that I've met through this program. It's been a little confronting, on how certain foods can have a massive effect on diabetes, etc. But yeah, that's the best place to find me, and our interviews and my music videos and
Yes,
everything else that Scott and I are up to. So thank you for
yeah.
having me.
Thank you for all you do. John Michael, what are your thoughts on the faith in yourself drops there?
I'll be very brief, but if you allow me to pedal back, because I want to comment on Joe's bit about the AI and music. I too am a songwriter. I've written about 4 dozen songs over the years, and even Paul McCartney, or the
Billy
replacement
Spears.
Paul, according to Juan Savin and many others, but that's for a different show. But Paul McCartney is on the record too, having the same concerns that you have about the creative process of writing a song from your experience, your vision, your spirit, and so forth. And he raised the same similar concerns you raised. And I agree with that. They are a birthing. It's a child. And you have to be the parent. You don't send it off to some place to create the kid. So I agree with you on that. I want to also one other quick comment, pedaling back. I think it was Jordan that touched on this a bit about AI and Trump, and Scott as well. Life beyond Trump is something we need to ponder, because while I trust in Trump because he was God ordained. God put him there. We put him there all 3 times. We know that. And he may be there another 4 years after these 3. We don't know yet. And with the med beds, he could be around another 50 years. But life beyond Trump is a reality. And that's coming sooner than later. And so AI in the hands of the wrong people is a concern for me. So quick comment on that. And then lastly, I'll close out the armor of God in a moment. But Ellen, I want to also, anybody you have, you can share my email address with this panel, if anybody would like to remain connected for future endeavors, by all means, please share my email, not here
Well,
on the air, but to these
I
gentlemen.
know.
Yeah.
That is-
And
I'll be selling his email address on my show tomorrow.
I actually have an
You're
email
talking
address
about
I
the-
put out. I have one I put out for the public because they really want to talk with us. They want their questions answered. And that's a different email, and I can't answer all of them, of course. But anyway, you know which one to give out, Ellen. And last comment is, well, thank you, Ellen, for the work you're doing. I really love the concept. You and I discussed this when you brought me on, one of the early guys to come in and be interviewed. It is important and great work, and it's there forever, and it'll be looked at down the line. And I also think it goes beyond the hosts, the movers and shakers, or the voice people of our times, that whatever category you want to throw us all in. But it's also the people that we speak with, particularly in my
Yes.
approach to this, the panel and the individuals that I am very selective that I will invest my time in. Those are the heroes, and I am just the conduit. And the last thing, I think of when you speak of the armor of God, I think I shared, I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure we went there when you interviewed me on my journey and the impact of God, of Christ consciousness on my direction, the mistakes I've made, but more importantly, the pivots that were made because I surrendered and listened. And you want me
Is
to,
that just me?
you want me to be a show host? You want me to form a news network? I know nothing about technology. I can't spell internet. And two, it wasn't on my bucket list to do this. But you know what? Turns out it was on somebody else's bucket list, and I'm much obliged. And last thing I would like to say is I always say to my audience, pray, plan, and prepare, because we're not out of the woods yet. I'm not doom and gloom. I'm not the fear guy. I'm not the porn fear guy or any of that stuff. In fact, I'm glass half full. But pray, plan, and prepare is good advice for all of us, including myself. And then that's really it. Without the armor of God, this is a very dangerous place to be alone in. And especially when you go into the spaces that this panel and yourself have gone into. So nothing happens without that protection, in my opinion. And I do separate it from religion, as was raised by someone on this panel before. These are separate subjects. And last thing, because you're going to ask me, so I'll just put it out there. Those who would like to follow my work, it's JMC, as you see behind me, jmcbroadcasting.com. That's my own website. And on that website, there's a follow tab that can take you into all the social platforms that we distribute on, and so forth and so on. So I want to thank you, Ellen, for giving me the time here to share my views. Great to see Lewis again. We bumped elbows back at the Christmas event years back. I didn't know you were running in California. That's a state that needs you to go whip their ass, and let's hope God helps get you placed there. And hats off to everyone else on this panel for the brave and great work you've done, because I know every single one here has been hit hard in one way or another for doing the work we do. And we've come out the other end now. We're validated and vindicated, because God does have our back, because we're on God's side. So that's it. I'm done. Thank you all very much.
Awesome.
Can I-
That
can
was
I
so
go real
wonderful.
quick?
Thank you. Lewis, since he
Can I go real
mentioned you. Oh, sure, Jordan, sure.
No, I was gonna say after Lou. I didn't know if you were gonna call on somebody. It's 10:30 my time. I'm way past my bed for my heart. So
Yeah.
go
Yes.
ahead. If I didn't want to interrupt, go ahead. Whatever you
No,
were saying.
go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan. You go
No, that's
next.
fine. You were gonna say something. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt you.
I was just going around with the three left there. So Jordan, go ahead and go.
Well, I was gonna let Lewis. He's running, so I was gonna let him. Finish with a nice campaign.
He's on the
speech.
West Coast.
I know. I'm over here like
I want to have
man.
breakfast.
You guys are killing me. No, listen. To you fellas, you guys do incredible work. I didn't expect to have you guys on tonight. We've been so busy. I really wasn't digging into who was coming. And obviously, Joe and Scott I've done shows with, but I'd be honored to do shows with you guys. And Ellen, I'm kind of, I guess, new school, old school. If you want to give me their numbers, I do texting, but you can email me either way. If that's okay with you guys. So, but yeah, I would love to get together with you all on a show. And I think it's crucial because we connect with so many different people and audiences. And it's incredible how God is aligning us through social media platforms and much more. But I guess for the audience out there and everybody, I just want to keep this short and simple. All we can do at this point is plant seeds. You can't force anything. You know, people just need they need to see it. So remember, the attention span thing kind of went away. So I always just encourage people, hey, if you see a link or something, copy it, send it to a friend or something. Hey, just leave it. Like, let them see these things. And then people eventually let the Holy Spirit in, and the Holy Spirit will guide them in their journey and direction. But at the end of the day, like I think what John said, Trump is our president. Christ is king. Christ is our savior.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference in the Q board and obviously God's operation in the Bible. But we live in worldly ways. We got a map to navigate from Q from 17 to now. And it saved a lot of lives. And I mean, if this wasn't happening, what would the Great Awakening look like? I mean, if Trump got in, we didn't have these posts.
Yep.
Like, it would be so hard, right? It would be so hard for him to tell people. So I pray for everyone's health. I pray that everyone gets connected in the Word. Reading it is key. And I just pray that people consume the right stuff. Be careful of the platforms you're on, who you're following.
Yes.
The consumption. I'm just going to say X, True Social and Rumble. They were not created by amazing guys and guys on the operation for no reason. Just remember, Facebook and Instagram, those apps, they're great, but they were created by some demonic entities, and they've done some horrible things with children and obviously election fraud. So I just encourage that, because we all have the same time, 24 hours. And I say this all the time. We all have the same time, but it's where we put our focus. And that's the hardest part right now, is you will go out in the matrix. You will learn so much. You'll watch a report at night, and the next day you're out in the matrix. It's like, what did I even watch? And that's how it is. It's a circus. So don't get so consumed you're stressed out, but find that balance and keep watching these guys. Amazing knowledge and truth. And Ellen, I just like I said, I'm honored, because I knew when I came on with a little following, I knew God was going to work and boost you up because of the vision that you have. No one's done it, and it's phenomenal. So people will look back on you and be like, "Hey, you see what this lady did? Like, she documented all."
I don't know about that.
You listen to them blabber. You're such a good talker yourself, and just to sit and listen and actually take that in, it's a lot of energy consumed, and that's like frequencies. That's a real deal. You have to align on frequencies. Our frequencies. If you're not aligned, you're gonna have static, man, and that's okay.
Right.
But just if God's telling you there's some static, step away. Even if it's a close family member, whatever, step away and let that frequency play out. Find the one that aligns you, that keeps your dopamine up, or your third eye.
Absolutely. And Jordan, where do you want people to go to find you who don't already know?
So you guys, jordanclark.shop here, my name over here. That's actually my website. So when you guys go on there, you'll see all my social links. I do a daily show at 1 on Instagram Live, just Instagram. And then at night, 6 o'clock Eastern, is my nightly show, where I go over obviously all the politics and geopolitics and all the fraud and election stuff. But I do that one on usually X, Facebook, and Rumble on StreamYard. So like I said, I have an amazing audience. We all do. And without them, I don't do this for money. I really do not get paid for these apps. I'm not monetized. I do it because I love it. And I thought, if I have all this knowledge, how can I get saved through heart failure and just sit back and let it happen?
That's right.
You got to use your voice. You got to use your gifts and pray and ask God to give you your gifts and your talents, because you have one and you have purpose and you have a testimony. So
agreed.
I'll end with that. And fellas, it was good to be with you.
Yes, this was so fantastic. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be dreaming about this all night tonight. Lewis, tell us about what your thoughts on the faith in yourself and the armor of God drops in.
Okay. So I roll out. Lewis, congrats. I'm going to pray for you, man. We got to talk more. You got some steel, man. Whoa, putting yourself out there.
Connect, Jordan, and I appreciate you.
Okay, Ellen, we'll talk soon too. Okay.
Bye, Jordan. Good night. Thank you for being here so much.
John, take care, brother.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Nice to meet you.
You too, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Well,
All right, Lewis.
First, I'd like to state the obvious. Thanks for such an incredible panel. All of you do work individually that is just way over the top. And, it's very, very clear where you got your direction from. And therefore you are surrounded with the armor of God. So I appreciate all of you. I've known Joe for a long time. Joe actually wrote a song for me. God bless you, Joe. It's going to be used on my campaign. It's called To Unite. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful song. And he had to put up with me trying to rewrite it and things like that. But yeah,
Aw.
he did just a phenomenal job. And I used that on my last tour called the Unity Tour, and we're going to be using it on our campaign tours too. So
Yay.
I do want to say, and this kind of ties into all of this. The best thing that's happened to us in the last few years is COVID and the election being stolen, because
Mhm.
that brought us to a place that we needed to be. It expanded our minds, and it also brought us closer to God, because we needed, and it pushed us to realize that we cannot do this on our own. And I think we are so blessed to have COVID and the election stolen to put us in a position where we are today. So I am very blessed for those lessons. Joe, real quick on the diabetes, I don't know if you know this. I used to work and train hundreds of doctors on how to, can I say the cure word, based on nutritional aspects only for people with diabetes, and the results we saw would blow you away.
That's what's
Just
actually happening. That's where,
yes,
yeah, it's nutrition based and
it's
faith based.
it's and you can, if you, I don't know how they're teaching, but if you can get her into a trace ketosis, not ketoacidosis, but a trace element in ketosis, it's amazing what even will happen with her mind. It'll blow
Okay,
you
yeah,
away.
I'll talk to you more about that after too in the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week.
So
Yeah.
call me on it, and I can give you
Okay,
some tips. It's
thank
pretty
you.
cool. Now, let's recall, and this is very for everybody watching. So on January 20th, 2017, in front of a military contingent, President Trump said he gave it back to who?
The
The
people.
American people.
He gave it back to the American people. And and I think honestly, we dropped the ball.
Oh yeah, we weren't ready.
Right. But this is, and to say that always, we constantly hear, and this is through side of the psyop, is that the white hats are in control. The white hats are in control. I think we took it too far. The white hats are in control of the chessboard,
Mhm.
right? Which means there's always some plays that can take out some pieces on the chessboard that the enemy can make, right? And that's why it's so hard for many of us to absorb. But when we understand that this is bigger than everything, and this is what's very, very important. In the drops, it says 42 times, trust the plan. And what we've had, excuse me, what we've had is we've had some very intelligent people interpreting the drops for us and explaining what, and then you've also had a lot of infiltration that we don't know that will interpret the drops in a way that would have brought us back into the Bolshevik revolution, where we would sit on our couch, eat popcorn, wear our froggy mask, and get killed, right? So we have to be very, very smart about this. The Q drops aren't the problem. It was the interpretation and the misinterpretation of the Q drops that were the problem. Because then what do? We didn't put our faith back in something that could have been godly. We put our faith in the interpretation of man. And I think it's very important to understand this. So 42 times it said trust the plan, or the plan. You know how many times it said my favorite part? 140 times it said, 147 times it said the people.
Mm.
42 times the plan, 147 times the people. And that's why my motto on my campaign is we the people are the plan, because we've always been the plan. And us
Mhm.
stepping up and us activating has been the plan. Because if President Trump would have came on, flew on in his white Pegasus and taken care of everything, right? We'd be right back here in a few years.
Yep.
But when we're part of the solution and part of the pain, which is our growth process, now we own it, and we will
Amen.
never, ever go back. So it's so important that we understand that we are the plan.
Yep.
And God has put us here. And I'm not talking about me. I'm saying everybody watching, everybody out there, the micro will fix the macro. We go into our board of supervisors meetings. We talk to everybody that we can possibly and explain to them that this is God's doing. We're just conduits here. We galvanize and we win. The reality, as soon as we, the people, can galvanize enough, that's when we win this battle. Because I believe God's already won, but we have to do the work in order to reap the harvest. So it's extraordinarily important to understand. The most important about the Q drops is the people were in there 3 times more or 3.5 times more than the plan, because we are the plan. And real quick, in reference to Q, we talked a lot about AI, and somewhere you're going to be shocked when you find out who you're talking to. What if AI created Q? Because we know they're at least 30, 40, 50, or 100 years ahead of us. From
If
what
that's true,
right
AI
now.
loves God, and then that makes me happy.
Exactly. And here's where I was going to end with, Scott. And you're right on target. I believe there's probably something that's happened that it went from, because remember, all weapons are turned against our enemy, right? And just like the internet, we see the internet today is starting to work in our favor. I believe somewhere in there, it probably went from malevolent construct to benevolent people controlling it. And I believe so much that a year and a half ago, I was anti-AI, hardcore anti-AI. I should have probably buried myself in a hut with no electricity, because that's the way I thought. And I had this divine download, and I said, wait a second. If we have any chance in humanity whatsoever, we need to get the most benevolent people on the planet completely immersed in AI.
Yep.
To make sure that we go in the right direction. And I think that's what John's working on in the background, it seems like. But that's where we need to be with this. And so I would say embrace AI if you're a good person as much as you possibly can. But remember one thing, right? And I argue with AI. I have a good time with it. But remember one thing, there is no soul in AI. You're not talking to a human, right? So make sure you are the direction of the AI, and the AI is not directing you.
Yes.
May I comment for 20 seconds real quick, Ellen? 20
Any
seconds.
comment from you, John, I got to take.
Yeah. Well, you've inspired me to say a few things. Thank you. And I'll be very, very brief.
Take
Number
your
one,
time.
AI, I was told by 107 in a private discussion, maybe he said it on the programs, I don't know, that AI did have its hand in the Q operation. So I want to validate your premonition. Second, I want to comment, and this is where I'll finish off, because it summarizes, you struck a chord with me about we the people. In my opinion, the command and control of this whole thing is God, the military, President Trump, the White Hats, and to your point, we the people. And without the Q board having activated we the people in the way it did, even with the problems that you raised that came about, that's part of it. Without that operation, thus we the people, we would not be succeeding to the point that we are. But it's a collective effort. God, military, White Hats, Trump, and we the people. And boy, we're almost at an important finish line. There'll be more finish lines later, but one of the most critical ones. I'm done. Thank you very much for giving me that time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely. And Louis, go ahead and finish up and tell us the best place to support you and find you.
Sure. Well, for all the work I've done over the years, you can find most of it at screwbiggov.com.
I love it.
Screwbiggov.com. In fact, many times I go places like, I don't know you. And I said, well, I do the Truth Tours and Screw Big Gov. Oh, I know exactly who you are.
Yes.
So my fame is in my work, not my face, which I'm okay with. And then, of course, if anybody like to help the campaign, whether that's volunteer, financially, whatever, anywhere around the world, we have volunteers for all the way in Ireland. Go to hermsforcali.com, hermsforcali.com, and we'll put you to work.
Yay, that's excellent. You're just so awesome, Lewis. And last but not least, my friend Scott, tell us
I'm going to
your
be
thoughts on.
super brief out of respect to my fellow panelists and the people listening. You can catch me every weekday at 5 o'clock Eastern time on Rumble. Just look for Beer at the Parade, no spaces. That's my old channel. Just Beer at the Parade, one long word. And I've done more than 250 shows in the last year. I've been blessed to have interviewed some super smart people, and I've become a better man because of the people I've interviewed. I like Ellen. I try to make it about my guests. I've already heard my stories. You'll hear my guest stories. And I do shows on the weekends too, and those are hit or miss, but I'm usually floating around 7, 8, 9 times a week, trying to get the word of God out there, trying to get the word of hope out in the world, to let people know that, yes, by and large, the good guys are winning, but they need us. More than everything else, they need us to be involved. They need our support. They need us to be taking action. They need us to be talking. So keep doing what you're doing. Ellen, I can't thank you enough for this. It's not often I turn into a fanboy, but when I saw the rest of the panel, I kind of freaked out a little bit. And my pits got a little sweaty, my tongue dried up. Holy crap. I'm way out of my pay grade today. Hope I didn't embarrass myself, but these gentlemen are amazing, and thank you for bringing us together. I'm a little overwhelmed, and I'm not going to sleep tonight because of you, so thank you. But this has been wonderful for me. Thank you.
Yay. This has been wonderful for me. I mean, this is a dream come true because I knew each one of you were just so amazing and special. And the thought of you all coming together, oh my goodness, this just made my night. You're all just so wonderful. Well, I just have to first just thank you all and then everybody who's watching. If you would come over at some time to the Truth Teller Tales channel on Rumble and follow along, that would be fantastic because we have incredible things coming up. I just want to tell you fellas, I started a new show 3 weeks ago called The View of Truth. I wanted to do the exact antithesis of The View on ABC, and it's a panel of the women, incredible women. We have godly stories, we have truthful stories, we have newsworthy stories that are all truthful. And this week we have Stormy Joe of Absolute Storm coming on tomorrow, every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time for 1 hour, where we'll start your weekend off the right way. And then we have a Labor of Love show on 6 o'clock Eastern time, Saturday nights. Trisha and I talk about those folks behind the scenes who are doing incredible work for all these podcasters, and so that they can get their story told as well. So thank you so much. This has been a dream come true for my 50th interview, to be in the same room with you, incredible patriot, godly warriors. So I can't thank you enough. And the whole audience thanks you. And thank you for a wonderful Thursday night, Friday morning for John to spend with us. Have a
Ellen,
wonderful night, everybody.
one
Yes.
last thing. Speaking of the same room, can we plug the Awakening Summit that's coming to New York in April?
Yes, I wish I had it on the screen. So it's the awakeningsummit.org, and it's the awakeningsummit.org, and it's in New York. It's the last weekend in April. It's out in Long Island. Joe is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Derek Johnson's going to be there. Janet Helper Hayes is going to be there. Scott of Truth of Stone is going to be there as well. There's going to be an incredible panel there in New York. It's going to be a wonderful time. The awakeningsummit.org, the last weekend in April. So that's just going to be a wonderful time. So
And
yes,
Lewis Herms can't commit yet, but he's going to at least be there, I think, via the screen, so he can.
Hey,
Yeah.
fantastic,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
this wonderful, memorable night. I'll never forget it. Thanks to you all so much. I can't thank you enough.
God
Have a
bless
wonderful-
everyone.
God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you again.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Join JMC Broadcasting's monthly Global Defense War Military Panel. JMC hosts an esteemed panel of military experts, including Ricardo Bosi, Tom Lennox, Chuck Sellers, Michael Jaco, Derek Johnson, Brad Wozni, and other military guests. Join us each month, where this panel of esteemed guests analyze the current events across a broad spectrum of topics, addressing the questions and concerns that you have. Subscribe for free by visiting jmcbroadcasting.com. John looks forward to seeing you at the next episode of the Global Defense War Military Panel broadcast, right here on jmcbroadcasting.com.